mentioned this to Advocate Soko, that the day on which I went to Charlotte Maluleka's place and the day on which I went to Bushbuck Ridge are not this. It's not the same day. Even the clothes which he was wearing were different. He was not wearing the same clothes.
So my question to you remains: when was Brilliant Mashego marked?
Xivutiso awusexihlamula yena ukhomweri ninkunzi Brilliant Mashego.
Nkarhi lowu nga byela ku I khome nkunzi wo hi nkarhi luwa a mbale xikipa xa xi nga ku chiffon brown, light brown.
But at the time when he told me that he was marked, it was on the day on which he was wearing a fawnish brown t-shirt.
And which date would that be, ma'am?
Akuri sikurero. But the date.
Suku ana hari tsundzuki. Mara akuri ndzenzela advocate suku no akuri laka ku sungula ka ku pfula ka xikolo kun'wana kwala ka vo 13 14 15 kwala a hi siku lera 22.
I don't remember the date, my lord. I even told Advocate Soko that it was somewhere at the beginning of the reopening of schools, somewhere on the 13th, 14th or 15th, but not around the 22nd. It was not the 22nd.
Ma'am, can you tell the court why is it that also Beauty Ndlovu, the girlfriend of the deceased Brilliant Mashego, also knew that... No, I'm confusing that one. If I might just quickly... Not Cherash, Remembrance. Can you tell the court why is it that Remembrance recalled that Brilliant Mashego was not allowed to speak in her company with you?
Yeah, loyi alava ku vulavula hi yena ku vutisa yena Mandlovu I Remembrance vito ra yena hikwalaho ka yini na yena ate Brilliant Mashego a nga pfumelelekangi leswaku a nga vulavula na wena Mandlovu emahlweni ka yena.
Hey, ku hlamula xivutiso xexo a ni tshama loko ni fonela Brilliant loko u nga hlamuli foni ri kusuhi na vanhu suka kusuhi na vanhu na vanhu sungula ku switwa siku ri la court.
My lord, answering that question, I'll just say that I've never told Brilliant to move away from people whenever he answers my call or my phone coming from me. I never told him that he must not be amongst people or near anyone when he takes a call from me. It was even my first time, my lord, to hear it here in court, to hear that in court when it was testified to.
May I ask you, why did you take Brilliant from Bushbuck Ridge on the 22nd of January 2018?
When would this okay? The 22nd January 2018. Usukele yini na yena umutekele yini mariti yan'wanyana Brilliant Mashego kusuka na yena le Bushbuck Ridge.
Ando suka na yena ute yo ya airport ya submit the CV.
I did not take him from Bushbuck Ridge. He said that he's going to the airport to submit CVs.
Okay, and anything further? What did you do else that day? 22nd.
Yini swin'wanyana leswi u nga swi endla hi siku leri ya Mandlovu hi ti 22nd ta January 2018.
Ani endlanga nchumu.
I did nothing else.
Maybe I'm
missing the mark here. If you could explain to me what is it that you need to know.
Sorry,
Maybe
I'm
I'm not understanding the question. Maybe.
Okay. So on the 22nd of January 2018, you went to Bushbuck Ridge. You came back from Bushbuck Ridge in the company of Brilliant Mashego.
Hi ti 22 January 2018 wena u fambile Mandlovu tela a Bushbuck Ridge aneri kambe loko vuya u vuya kha u famba na yena Brilliant Mashego aneri. Yes, I am.
So the one purpose was for the CV to hand in at the airport.
Sorry.
Yes,
sorry,
Madam.
The question is it true? I hear you. They say you came back with it. Is that true or not?
Ntiyiso na hayi ku switwa swi tiva ku wa switwa Mandlovu a hi leswi u fanele ku hlamerisa swona ntiyiso ku u vuye na yena na. Yes, that's true, madam. It's true.
And back in Gauteng, what happened? What did you and Brilliant do?
Se loko mi fika la a Gauteng ku humelele yini wena na Brilliant mi endle yini?
Ivory Park akuya ka ti-cousins ta yena.
I parted ways with him in Ivory Park.
Ya taxi rank.
At the
vita ku ile score.
It was at a taxi rank, my lord, where Brilliant and I parted ways, and he said he was going to see his cousins in Tembisa.
So that entire day, the 22nd of January 2018, you only traveled back with him. What else happened?
Se siku leri ra ti 22 ta January 2018 siku hinkwaro amo va ku fambeni wena yena mi ze mi ta fika la i yini swin'wanyana leswi nga humelela kumbe leswi mi nga swi endla swin'we wena na Brilliant?
A ku ri nhlikani loko hi suka so loko hi fika laha se a ku ri late over ma 7 kwala a langutangi nkarhi a ku iya ka ti-cousins ta yena so mi ntile la ni tshamaka kona a ku na xin'wana lexi nga endliwa.
My lord, there's nothing else that I did with Brilliant Mashego other than traveling. When we left Bushbuck Ridge, it was at noon. But when we arrived here in Gauteng, Johannesburg, it was early in the evening, around 7 o'clock. And we parted ways when he said that he's going to see his cousins. There's nothing else that I did with him.
Did Brilliant Mashego reside with you that evening? Sleep over?
No.
Where did he sleep?
U to ya ka ti-cousins ta yena ku na ti-cousins ta yena la Tembisa vana va a ni ti swa ku vuxaka ni nga swi hlamusela ku kokwana wa yena wa tela khwat na maki wa vo i va makwenu.
He said he's going to see his cousins in Tembisa. It's just that I have difficulty explaining the relations. But I know that his grandmother who came to testify here in court and the mother of these cousins are siblings. But I just don't know how else to explain that, my lord.
Can I ask you then, when did you meet him again after that?
See, Mondbutisana Kambe, Mandlovu, Anzaka sweswo, umubone rini nakambe, mara tyan'wanyana u hlangane na yena rini futhi andzaka sweswo.
Siku leri landzelaku i ni endlele call back kumbe lo ni fonela na ha swi tsundzuki a ku a nga hlayisekangi la nga koho i te le Tsangweni e taxi rank.
The following day, I don't remember, my lord, whether it was a call back that he sent to me or it was an actual call that he made to me. But I spoke to him. He told me that he's not safe wherever he was. In fact, where he was rather. He said he was at Sangweni in Tembisa and he's not feeling safe where he was.
And then?
Even?
Iloko nuku kwala ngoko kota ku vona chicken licken na aku na ivona nuku ngomela uya ima chicken licken ile ku teng.
So I then said to him, tell me where you are are you able to see a chicken licking outlet? He said, yes, I'm able to see one. I then advised him to go and wait for me at that chicken licking outlet, and told him that I would be on my way to him.
Then, what happened then?
Ivi ku humelela yini ke endzhaku ka sweswo?
loko ni fika laya ni vutisa ku endleka yini a ku hi a nga tshamangi kahle va famba va n'wi siya nampundzu a nga ri na swakudya hi loko ni n'wi byela kota ku i yini a endla ku vulavula a wu kulelanga kaya loko ri u lava ku tala Joni u lava ku ta tshama na mina xa ku sungula u fanele u lela ka kokwana wa wena u kulele ka kokwana wa wena ku va ku ri swilo leswi tiveka ku ximfumo ku u tshama na mina.
Upon finding him there at the chicken licking outlet, my lord, I then asked him what the problem is. He told me that wherever he was staying, he was not comfortable, he was not well accommodated. Sometimes the people whom he was staying with would leave him there without food. So I then said to him, you know, I don't want to be involved in these family squabbles by talking too much about them. I told him that, in fact, it was just to remind him that, look, you never grew at the side of my family. You didn't grow up there where it's my home. You didn't grow up there. You grew up at your grandmother's place. So if you needed to come and stay with me here in Johannesburg, you need to make that official by asking your grandmother to give you permission for you to come over and stay with me here, since we were apart growing together, you know, on either side of the family sides.
What happened then, ma'am?
Say, andzaka sweswo ku humelela yini?
Me under na appointment ro siku leriya na boyfriend ya me ku hi ta hlangana Germiston. Then
I had an appointment with my boyfriend. We were planning to meet in Germiston, and then
ku deliver ka leswa ti courier van.
atera ku deliver.
Atera ka leswa ti courier van.
My boyfriend was driving courier vehicles, courier vans.
Hi loko ni ku ka yena a hi khandziyi taxi hi famba ya Germiston u ta veta u ya khandziya taxi u ya kaya loko u lava ku vuya haleni u ta vuya ximfumo swi tiveka ku u na mina.
I then said to him, let's go together, let's take a taxi to Germiston, and then you'll take a taxi from Germiston and go back home, that is travel back home to Bushbuck Ridge. I advised him that if he wished to stay with me, to live with me here in Gauteng, he would make this a formal arrangement in that he would notify his grandmother, who would give him permission to come over and stay with me.
Then loko hi fika eGermiston hi kuma ku ti taxi ri.
Upon arrival in Germiston, my lord, we found that there were no longer taxis. Taxis were no longer available for him to be able to travel to Bushbuck Ridge.
E khandziya taxi ya Binoni ku ni ve ni n'wi fonela boyfriend a nga ku RBC u le ku delivering somewhere. Khandziya taxi ya Binoni ku ya cheka taxi ya Bushbuck Ridge.
Then we took a taxi to Binoni. The reason for that, my lord, was to go and check if there were taxis in Binoni which he could use to travel to Bushbuck Ridge. And at that stage, my lord, I had phoned to check on my boyfriend, who told me that he was still busy with his deliveries. So Brilliant and I then proceeded to Binoni. We also found that there were no taxis in Binoni.
So he looked at hiking spot.
Then we went to the hiking spot, an area where people ask for rides, and then that's when we hiked and traveled to Bushbuck Ridge, my lord.
Is that on the 23rd of January 20?
Siku leriwana ku ri ti 23 ta January 2018. Yes, that was on the 23rd of January 2018 and at noon.
xivangelo lexi nga endla mina yi hayika na yelo se a hayika hi ku xo sungula o hayika xa vumbirhi mi andra na appointment na boyfriend ya mina ene xin'wana courier van i movha leyi u nge khandziyisi vanhu ntsena ku va avoida ku loko tshuka ku tuma ti-accident na swin'wana na swin'wana a ni tiva ku mina hi ta hlangana Bushbuck Ridge hi ta tlela kwale hi ta vuya siku leri landzelaka.
And the reason why I had to take a hike to Bushbuck Ridge together with him is because I couldn't travel with my boyfriend to Bushbuck Ridge as he was traveling to Bushbuck Ridge because he's not allowed to have passengers, any other people in the courier van because there would be a problem if they were to be involved in an accident like that. So the plan was that we were going to, that is myself and my boyfriend, we were going to meet in Bushbuck Ridge and sleep over there.
Okay. May I ask you what's your boyfriend's name?
Pitrayanema.
Lweni vulavula ka yeswo swa loyi a ni tshama na yena ndlwini ni vulavula hi un'wana loyi wa le tlhelo a ku ri Bennett wa ka Ngomani wa le Upper City.
Bennett Ngomani. You see, this boyfriend is not the boyfriend in question, the one that we're talking about here, the one that I was staying with. This was my side boyfriend, so to speak.
A side boyfriend?
Yes, so his name was Bennett Ngomani. He was from Upper City.
Master from?
Upper City, aner. Nete umakwe? As far as I knew then, back then, was that he came from Upper City. I said Upper City, my lord.
Also
and his name is Bennett Ngomani, but I didn't know his actual home, where he came from. His names are Bennett Ngomani.
She also said it was not the other boyfriend.
In other words, she was saying that it was not Maurice.
But Maurice was dead by that time.
I'm lovely, Maurice. Kuna boyfriend le antshama na yo nkarhi
no, I'm not talking about Maurice, my lord. Sorry. There's a boyfriend that I was living with, a live-in boyfriend that I had at that time. But I also had this second boyfriend. This is the boyfriend that I'm referring to, who is Bennett Ngomani from Upper City. I was living with someone, but I had a boyfriend outside of that relationship.
Okay. And I presume Bennett Ngomani is going to testify and corroborate your version.
Ndasteka ku Bennett Ngomani u tata na yena ta nyika vumbhoni a seketela leswi swi vulaka.
A ni tivi ku tshama kwini a ni tivi phone number ya yena a ku ngo va boyfriend is serious. That's why ni ku na le ka vanhu ku tiva.
My lord, I don't know where he stays. I don't even have his phone number. I don't have it. It was not a serious relationship. That's why I even mentioned that I don't even know where he hails from, where he comes from, his home, where he originates from. I don't know.
And angazanga angibona brilliant ku ayizanga ikhanisa mo bayitani lokho ngikuya ku mo bayante.
And he never even got to see Brilliant because he was using his work vehicle, motor vehicle, so we never got into that car with Brilliant.
Tani lokho nuku yayikile yamba ne engine garage. Mina yehlangana lokho seyahambanile na Brilliant.
So as I said, we used this mode of transport, hiking up until the engine garage. That's where Brilliant and I parted ways. But this boyfriend and me met after I parted ways with Brilliant.
Now, may I ask you, why did you return to Bushbuck Ridge on the 23rd of January 2018?
See, when would this Ndlovu? In the xivangelo xa ku u tlhelela Bushbuck Ridge ti 23 ta January 2018.
Loko ni hlamusela according te a ni ri na appointment na boyfriend ya mina.
In my explanation to the court, I said
I delivered if I'm delivered tindhawu ta ku hambanahambana until I fika ku Bushbuck Ridge.
I said that I traveled because I had an appointment with my boyfriend And this boyfriend, whose work was to go around making deliveries, so he would deliver at various places all over the place, and it would at times take him to Bushbuck Ridge to deliver there. He would go as far as Bushbuck Ridge to make deliveries. So that's what I said in my answer, that was my reason for going to Bushbuck Ridge that day.
So, do I understand it correctly? You were meeting him at Bushbuck Ridge, and then?
Se
What then?
nokutwisa kahle ku ami ya kuhlanganeni kona Bushbuck Ridge na boyfriend ya wele. Se andla ka swona amita endla yini? Aku ya humelela yini?
ata ya hlangana la nga ta hlangana ko hi ku ivi a ni phonela ku nga ku ri vo ma 11 na vusiku a ni vutisa ku se ni le kwini ni n'wi byela ku ni le Shell garage eBushbuck Ridge straight hayi Dwarsloop karolo sa ni hambane na Brilliant hi la a nga fika a ni teka ko.
We were going to meet wherever and do whatever, my lord. I think he phoned me at night around 11 o'clock and asked me as to my whereabouts. I told him that I was at the Shell garage in Bushbuck Ridge, not in Dwarsloop, because at that stage I had already parted ways with Brilliant Mashiro, and that's where he came to pick me up from this Shell garage.
Okay. So, you undertook a trip of 5 hours plus to do what in Bushbuck Ridge?
Leswo u fambile rendzo leri tekaku nkarhi lowu nga le henhla ka tiawara ta 5 ku u ya endla yini a Bushbuck Ridge.
Lena ni ra ku ri mina boyfriend ya mina ya tlela Bushbuck Ridge hi ta vuya siku leri landzelaka.
The plan?
Hi ku loko ni tsundzuka kahle a ku ri ta ku va ku ri last day off ya me le a ni ta vuya hi yona le siku leri landzelaka a ni ta ntirhweni. Hi loko a hatlelanga le hi ku vuya receive call ntirhweni va ku yin'wana ya timovha leti ti fanele ti ya deliver somewhere yi kume accident i fanele a vuyela ndzhaku ku i fanele a teka delivery liya hi ku yeswi a ta va a ri off siku leriya a hi nga ta vuya hi romina.
My lord, the plan was to go and spend the night in Bushbuck Ridge. That is myself and my boyfriend. If my memory serves me well, I think it was also one of my last days, working days, one of my last working day, and in that I was gonna have to report for duty the following day. So as we planned to sleep there and travel back to Johannesburg the following day, he received a call. We did not manage to do that. He received a call from his employers. He was told that one of the vehicles which is used for deliveries was involved in an accident, and that he had to immediately travel back to Johannesburg to his employer so that he would take over the duty to deliver what should have been delivered by the vehicle involved in the accident. So in that way, we were not able to spend the night together in Bushbuck Ridge. We had to come back to Johannesburg.
So basically, you just traveled from Johannesburg to Bushbuck Ridge 5 hours to undertake another trip back to Johannesburg, another 5 hours.
So ileso ufambele soka sungar kona. Ufambele mahala Bushbuck Ridge marita ngwanyana. Ufambele 5 hours uya famba 5 hours ngwanyana ubuya.
Siku leri phela a ku ngo va na xa serious station ni ya ku xiendleni a ni ri a ni famba na munhu wa mina.
My lord,
so
there was nothing.
ku hi ta va hi ri swin'we le na swi twisisa hi ku haleni a ni ku ri na munhu loyi a ni tshama na yena.
My lord, there was nothing more serious other than spending time with my boyfriend that I was going to do in Bushbuck Ridge. So we had thought that the plan would be to go and spend the night together in Bushbuck Ridge, because we knew that here in Johannesburg, I had someone that I was involved with, I was in a relationship with. So the idea would be to go and spend time with this other boyfriend away in Bushbuck Ridge.
And what about your ailing mother? Did you not think of visiting her? You were there for 3 days.
Se mama wena
Did not
lava
stop there.
abababza avoka vanga pfukangi to swiveka ndlela leyo mama wena avoka vanga pfukangi kahle awu va hehleketangi na ku undza ka vona u va vona hi ku Our Bushbuck Ridge kahle kahle inko hlayela masiku yambirhi ku our Bushbuck Ridge masiku yambirhi se awu hleketangi kumbe ku tsundzuka ku hundza kaya bevona va makhe wa wena
loko nuku Bushbuck Ridge hi leswi ku vitisaka xiswona u va u nga si fika ka hina xin'wanyana a ni nga plananga ku ya kaya maswona loko nuku a ni famba na boyfriend ene me a ni kaya nje ni nga preparanga kumbe ni va fonere ku ni le vuteni swa ku fana loko u fane u famba u ri na mali u va xavele na swilo
my lord we just make a general reference to the place Bushbuck Ridge. But wherever I was not near my home at that time. And secondly, the reason why I went there is because of disagreement with my boyfriend. I was with my boyfriend. I had not planned to go and visit my mother. If I go home to visit, I need to prepare. I need to have money or take gifts that I would give to my mother. So it was not in my plan to visit my mother in that instance, my lord.
So can you tell the court, so how did you get back in your boyfriend's delivery vehicle?
See, and only to okay, me buisa ku yini mkamfamba hi mova ya boyfriend yawe ya ku deliver.
Oh, ite one at least he take a risk ashfana loko akhandzise vanhu va two.
He said that if it's one passenger, it lessens the risk. It's unlike when he's taking two passengers in that delivery vehicle. So he was willing to take that risk if it's just one passenger.
Which company is so reckless in their driver's behavior that one individual is allowed in an official driving the vehicle?
So you want to find out
Yes.
which company
Will allow that.
was he waiting for
Yes,
his
ma'am.
boyfriend?
Yes.
Se bari vitra company le a tirhela yo riri yini vitra ko nakona sula tiva leswaku vo va company ya njhani leyi nga pfumelelaku ku ti driver ta vo kumbe driver ya vo yi khandzisa vanhu na hambi a ri wun'we.
Ya a na ha tsundzuki khampani ya koho hi ku a ku ngo va relationship leya ku ri ya khale so xin'wanyani ku ye why a teke risk leyi a ni swi tivi swa ku na loko u tshuka ku humele swin'wana ya ta va hlamula hi ntirhweni wa yena.
My lord, I don't remember the name of the company, and that's because it wasn't such an old relationship, so to speak. It wasn't a relationship which was much older, and it wasn't a serious relationship. As to why he chose to take that risk, I don't know, my lord. And I don't know what is it that he would have said to his employers if something happened along the way. I don't know how he would take responsibility for that.
Ms. Ndlovu, let's cut this to the chase. Which company was Bennett Ngomane waiting for?
A ni tivi.
A tirhela company Bennett Ngomane.
Ni rivele ku ri khampani ya kona.
I forgot the name.
A ni tiva a yi tsariwile ni rivele ku Globe something rivele.
I don't remember, my lord. I forgot, but it had an emblem. It was written on the vehicle. I think it's Globe something, but I can't remember that, my lord.
Hi ku siku leri a ku ra ku sungula ku ni va ni ri na yehe kwala ka movha ya vo ya le ntirhweni.
And it was my first time on that day to be with him in his company vehicle.
She has answered the question. Let's proceed.
Yes, please, Honorable Court.
She doesn't know the company.
Can I then ask you, ma'am, did you at one stage in 2018 take leave without pay?
Kuna nkarhi lowu u nga teka leave without pay 2018 antirhweni.
A ni tsundzuki ni teke leave without paying.
No, I don't remember taking leave without
teka
pay.
loko ri ku kumbe a ni helele hi masiku ya sick hi ku loko u te helele hi masiku ya sick va teka mali loko nkarhi wun'we nga tanga ntirhweni mara me a ni tsundzuki ni teke leave without pay.
I don't remember taking leave without pay unless if there was some stage or instance when I ran out of official sick days. Leave for sick days. I don't know. Maybe if it was that time, then they would have to deduct money from my salary. But I don't remember applying for sick. Leave without pay.
If the site presents evidence to the effect that you took sick leave from the 23rd of, or leave without pay from the 23rd of January 2018 up until the 2nd of March 2018. Do you recall that?
Loko ku va na vumbhoni lebyi nga kombisaka ku sukusela hi ti 25 ta January 2018 ku ya fika hi ti 2 ta March 2018 u teke masiku ya leave lawa u nga zangi u nga hakelenga va nga ku hakelangi ka wa leave without pay.
Hey, Anishdev, antsundzuki ni teke leave without pay.
I don't know about that. I don't remember.
Anbuka sick kuri ku ana rina masiku swi vo ava teka mali mara antsundzuki ni teke leave without pay.
My lord, unless if I applied for leave, for sick leave, only to find that I had run out of my sick days for leave, they would then instead, in that case, deduct the money from my salary.
So the civil progress, did you or didn't you take unpaid leave?
Say, ku ta kota ku ya mahlweni Mandlovu u ze u nga teka leave yo ka yi nga hakeleriwi na? No, I did not.
Manov, the site will request for provisionally allowing the site will present evidence. This was only brought to my attention after I closed the site's case. If I might just ask this provisionally, and I'll present the evidence of the commanding officer of the closure of state's defense case.
In fairness to the defense, let me hear what.
As a example,
what is your attitude to the request that they want to lead evidence? And would you like to cross over to your client and find out what the attitude is? Although the issue is strictly speaking legal, that you can consult with it.
Sorry? Angasiza ata advocate.
Sorry, no, please, you don't talk until I give you the permission to do so. We can address myself to counsel. Mr. Soto, what is the opportunity for the defense? Because this is something that is just popped up now. And you would like to take instructions.
I would like to take instructions from my client before.
Do you need some time to do it?
I'll leave it for later. I'll leave it.
Okay.
I have given him a learned friend. If he indicates to me, but I will leave it for later. But I will move on.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I'll ask you to have a look at exhibit www. If we now can move to count 11 and 13 to 20, my lord.
Have we done with 13 to 20?
Yes, it's just the final.
Count 11, that is
13, 11, that one is the attempted murder of Nomia Ndlovu, Gladys.
Sorry?
My lord, the witness has something to say. She has her hand up. She needs to say something.
Just a minute.
Yeah, but I'm niketa nkari sweswi Mandlovu ne? Wa ku vulavula.
Yes, Nomia Ndlovu.
Yes, ma'am.
Is he the one who was in? Yes. Yes, your hand was up, Mr. Ndlovu.
Mi tlakuse voko Mandlovu. Vulavula.
Kuna swin'wana swi ta ku miehleketweni loko va vulavula hi liya ya ku ni teke leave without pay from ti 25 loko se ni tsundzuka a ni nga ri na masiku ya leave a ni nga ri na masiku ya sick ene loko ni lava ku ya attenda funeral ya Brilliant ni tsundzuka ni teke masiku kwalaho so hi mhaka ni kombela ku yi hlamula advocate soko a nga sita ka mehe hikuva ta ku se ni lo tsundzuka a ni funeral ya Brilliant se na tsundzuka ni teke masiku loko ni lava ku attenda funeral ya Brilliant after ku lova ka Brilliant.
Yeah. As I was being questioned about me taking or whether I took unpaid leave in 2018, my lord, something just came to my mind that I remember that I had run out of both my annual leave days as well as my sick leave days. and I needed to attend Brilliant's funeral, so I had to take time off work. So that's when money had to be deducted from my salary because of that, man. I remember. So that's why I wanted to respond to this before Advocate Soko could approach me, because I didn't want it to look like it's an afterthought. No, I wanted to answer it even before he came over to me.
At this stage, the state has not proceeded with that question. And please proceed.
Please, Your Honor. So if we can then move to exhibit www. I think you have that in front of you, ma'am.
Nhleketa ku unayona Mandlovu, exhibit www.
Ivan.
Yes, I do say that.
Okay. Now, you say you and Vincent Kunene was apparently very close friends, am I correct?
Okay, when na Vincent Kunene, I'm tolovelani le meri vangana swinene na Vincent Kunene.
Ante a hi tolovelane vanghana swinene. Ntolo a ni tolovelane ku ri munghana wa me I sesi wa yehe, so na yehe swi endla ku se ni n'wi tolovela. Hayi ku a hi ri vanghani ngopfu.
Not like that, man. I didn't say that Vincent Kunene was my close friend. I said the person who was my close friend was his sister. But me being closer to his sister made me it made me also to be closer to him. But he was not a friend. We were not tight friends.
Please have a look at page 7 of the exhibit www.
Langta laka page 7, Mandlovu, laka exhibit www.
Page 7 of 38.
Yes, my lord. Do you see that, ma'am?
Ivan.
Yes, I see that.
Do you see all the communication on page 7, which is only set out for the period 7 February 2018 up until 12 February 2018? Do you see that?
Wabona laya ku vulavula ka n'wina kusuka hi ti 7 ku fika hi ti 12 ta February 2018. Kasibona?
Nari ku languteni.
I'm still perusing. I'm still looking at the exhibit, man.
From
Yes.
the 7th of February 2018.
Yes, I see that. Yes, it's communication from the 7th of February 2018.
And what did you and Mr. Vincent Njabulo Kunene discuss during 4 days, a period of 4 days? 5 days?
Amo vulavula yini wena na Vincent Njabulo Kunene eka masiku lawa loko ni hlayela masiku yo ringana 5.
Yes, my lord.
Can you make it clearer to the witness what you mean? Look, this is a data
Yes,
extracted from.
I can make it clear, my lord.
Yes, and make it clear to her as to who was calling who.
I will do so.
Because, just to that what you do discussing
As it is on the page. So, page 7, 8, 9, and up until 10. Up until the date of your arrest, the 7th of March 2018. You see that, ma'am?
Wasibona la ka page 7, 8 na 9 kufikela ka page 10. La kuna communication kumbe ku vulavula xikarhi ka wena na Vincent Njabulo Kunene kufikela hi siku leri nga khomiwa hi rona ti 7 ta March 2018. Wasibona?
Ni vona ti page a ni koti ku languta ti phone number. Ni le ku chekeni ka ti pages sweswi ni na ti vona.
I see. I've checked the pages as I was referred to, but I am not checking out the phone numbers. But
So-
I'm trying to look at the telephone numbers.
Can I
But I
assist?
saw the pages.
Okay, page 7, column 1. 27820592648. That is your number. Right or wrong?
Laya ka xiyenge xo sungula column yo sungula laya.
No, that is Mr. Vincent Kunene's number. 48. Do you see that?
Number liya hetelela ku 2648. Ya Vincent Kunene. Wa kusibona kwala?
Nakubona mara phone number leya ku helela hi 2648 phone number me.
I see
that,
but
sure by the mistake.
that phone number where the last 4 digits are 2648.
Yes.
That's my number. That's my phone number. It's not Vincent Kunene's number. I think they made a mistake there.
So I made a mistake. So that is all your number appearing there in the first column.
Laya ka column liya ya kusungula Mandlovu. In number ya wena tsena leyi ku nga tsariwa yona ne.
Yeah, phone number me.
Yes, that's
Right.
my phone number.
The second column, ma'am, is MOC. You will see MOC, MPC. And if you look then at page 37 of that exhibit WWW, you see that?
Loko langutana la ka page 37. Swivonile column ya mbirhi la ku tsariwe ti MOC na ti MTC. Kambe loko ya ka page 37 bona ka exhibit
You see that?
W.
No, look at the page 37.
I'm still trying to find page 37, madam.
You can burn 3 of 38. So
I see 3 of
37.
38. I don't know where 37 is.
Let's go on.
What pen down your machine, man?
Before you
Kumbe
reach,
milaku ta ku page 7 of 38.
No, page
No.
37.
let me assist you here. Before you reach this maps,
Oh.
La unga sifika la ile makuminyana unga sifika la ka kungana map kona. Utaibona
one
page 10.
from the maps.
Utabona kwa la
Yeah,
ka.
nikuna.
I found page 37 of 38 now.
Now, the second column, most often what is appearing there is MOC, and that stands for outgoing call. So that means your number might then call to Mr. Mr. Njabulo Vincent Kunene.
Loko languta nhlamuselo leyi nga laha ka page 37 of 38 ta swivona ku ri laya ku vulavuriwa hi MOC leswi hlamuselaka ku hi loko phone yi tirhisiwa yi fonela yin'wanyana se laha swi kombeta leswaku foni ya wena a yi huma yi fonela ya Vincent Njabulo Kunene.
Do you see that,
Wa
man?
swivona?
Na swivona.
I see that.
Now, for the period of the 7th of February 2018, there were 10 calls between yourself and Mr. Njabulo Vincent Kunene.
Va ri siku lera ra ti 7 a ku ri na ti 10 ti call ta 10 exikarhi ka wena na Vincent Njabulo Kunene.
Loko ni languta va ri nhlamuselo ya MOC hi loko me ni n'wi fonela ne loko ni languta i nga ku me ni n'wi fonele ka 3 ku ya hi vona letin'wana a ku fona ye so lexi ni lava ku hlamula hi lexi minkarhi yin'wana a wu kuma ku loko ni lava cevisile ni nga n'wi kumi a ni fonela Njabulo ni ku i ku ni cevisile.
Okay, all right. My lord, when I look at what MOC stands for, what it means there, it tells me that it means it was me making a call or calls to Njabulo Kunene. And if I check here the number of instances when I called him, I think it's about 3 times according to this. And you know, over and above that, my lord, I need to make this explanation that at times when I needed to contact Kebisile, that is Vincent's sister, if I couldn't get hold of her on her phone, I would then call Vincent Njabulo Kunene and ask him as to where his sister is.
So for 10 calls made on the 7th
So the 7th of
February 2018, my lord.
what is it?
There's 5 outgoing calls and 5 incoming calls, my lord.
That called tota 10 Mandlovu. Amo fonelana wena na yena Vincent Njabulo Kunene. Kuna 5 leti ti nga huma ka wena ti ya ka yena na 5 leti nga suka ka yena ti nghena ka wena.
Na ti vona.
I see that. I see the calls.
And then, if we move further, the very next time, ma'am,
Loko
there
ya
was
mahlweni
12 phone calls between your number and the hitman that you hired, Mr. Njabulo Vincent Kunene, on the 8th of February 2018.
hi siku leri nga landzela loko ya mahlweni hi ti 8 of February 2018 a ku ri na ti-call to ringana 12 a xikarhi ka wena na nkavi liya u nga yi xava Vincent Njabulo Kunene hi ti 8 ta February 2018.
Ti-calls na ti vona mara a ni tsundzuki Njabulo ni n'wi xavile tanihi hitman a ni tsundzuki ni xave munhu ku a va hitman se swa ni hlamarisa.
I do see the calls. I have no problems with the calls between me and Vincent Njabulo Kunene, but I've never hired him as a hitman.
In fairness to the witness,
Yes, hello.
at this stage is still alleged.
As it is on the court.
Yes.
So, but it also continues, ma'am. We can go on. For the 10th of February, there were calls between you and Njabulo Vincent Kunene. The 11th of February, the 12th of February, there were numerous calls between yourself and Mr. Vincent Njabulo Kunene.
Ti kona ti-calls ti tele loko ya mahlweni ta swi vona ku ri kusuka kwalaha ka ti 8 hi ti 10 na hi ti 11 ti tele ti-calls leti ti nga va koho exikarhi ka wena na Njabulo Vincent Kunene.
Tanihiloko ni hlamusele court ku Njabulo na Qevisile hambileswi sweswo a hi vulavuli hi Qevisile vulavula hi Njabulo a va ni byele leswaku va fanele ni va heleketa Bushbuck Ridge va ya vona n'anga so swi ri ti-calls tetiwa a hi tshama hi karhi hi fonela tanihiloko ni ku vanhu lava hi tolovelanani a hi karhi hi vulavula hi swo swilo sweswiya ma swi twisisa ku hi nga famba rini swin'wana swa ku fana na sweswiya a ni ti ali ti-calls letiwa ku fonelananile.
My Lord, I don't dispute the number of calls that happened between myself and Njabulo Vincent Kunene. I'm not disputing that volume. My Lord, just as I explained earlier in my one of my explanations, that there was an arrangement between myself, Qevisile, and Njabulo Kunene for me to take them to Bushbuck Ridge to introduce them to a traditional healer. They needed to see a traditional healer there. Although I admit at this point in time, no reference is made to Qevisile. We are not talking about Qevisile. But all I'm saying is that these calls happened as we were talking about that. We were making such arrangements, hence there were so much calls between me and him, because we were arranging to go to Bushbuck Ridge for me to introduce them to a traditional healer.
You see, when Mr. Njabulo Vincent Kunene came to testify, it was never put to him that you used his phone to contact Qevisile Kunene.
Wabona loko yena a ta la nkarhi lowu a nga fika ta nyika vumbhoni Mandlovu loyi Vincent Kunene a nga zanga byeriwa ku we a wu pfa u tirhisa foni ya yena loko u lava ku fonela Qevisile.
Siri a mi ni twisisanga kahle ni te nkarhi wun'wana loko ni fona ni va Qevisile ni nga n'wi kumi ka foni ya yena a ni swi kota ku ni fonela Njabulo hi ku tanihileswi a ni tivaku laha ka Qevisile ku xavisiwa na byala a ni kota ku n'wi fonela Njabulo ni ku Qevisile a wu le kaya ka Qevisile na ni lava Qevisile hayi ku Qevisile a tirhisa foni ya Njabulo ku fonela mina.
No, my Lord, I think this...
a ni swi tivi sweswo kumbe nkarhi wun'wana Qevisile a yi tirhisa a ni fonela a ni swi tivi mara ni ri mehe loko ni fonela Njabulo nkarhi wun'wana a ni va ni lava Qevisile ni ku a wu le ka yena na.
Komisa Mandlovu. My Lord, this just tells me that counsel for the state misunderstood me. I never said that. I said that at times when I couldn't get hold of Njabulo Kunene, I would call his sister Qevisile. In fact, the other way around. Yes, that's it. Yes, I'd call Njabulo to try and find Qevisile, the sister, when I could not get hold of her. And I knew that at her place, it was quite a busy place in that day. She also sold alcohol there. So if I couldn't find Cebisile, I'd phone him, that is Vincent Njabulo Gunene, to try and find his sister. So what counsel said, it's not true. I did not use Njabulo's phone to try and get hold of Cebisile. No. Maybe she did use his phone to try and phone me, but I'm saying that I never used his phone to try and phone Cebisile. No. Yes.
I think he doesn't understand the question. Would you please put the proposition, listen very carefully, answer that question as it is put to you.
Ms. Ndlovu, when Mrs. Cebisile Kunene came to testify, why wasn't it put to her that if you didn't get hold of her on her phone, you would get hold of her on Njabulo's phone?
I twisana kahle Mandlovu. Kahle vutiso xikongome ku loko Cebisile a ri laniwani a te ku nyikeni ka vumbhoni hikwalaho ka yini a nga byeriwangi ku wena Cebisile loko Mandlovu a ku lava a nga ku kuma a pfa fonela eka foni ya Njabulo sweswo.
Loko Cebisile a heta ku testify me minkarhi ya ku tala advocates a ni vutisa ku ya hi testimony leyi va nga yi veka laya. So me a ni n'wi hlamula ku ya hi testimony ya witness leyi vulavulaka a ni vutisa ku u n'wi twi loko i te yini a ni vutisa swivutiso leswi witness yi nga leswo so na me a ni hlamula ku ya hi swivutiso leswi a hi nga si fika la that's why sweswi ni kota ku hlamusela hi ku ya hi cellphone record leyi nga vekiwa la mahlweni ka mina.
My Lord, each time when, in fact, after Cebisile finished her testimony, Advocate Soko would approach me and ask me if I had the evidence and if I had any comments about that. And he would ask me questions as according to the testimony that was laid before court. It wouldn't be anything else. It would be based on what the witness has testified to. So even in this instance, my Lord, I'm replying to this because of the cell phone records which have been put. That's how I'm replying to this, but not touching on anything else.
May I ask you, how many contact did you have with Mr. Lakiwe Mkhize?
Mon vutisa ke Lakiwe Mkhize yena me fonela ni kangani?
Me anjuzukile fonela ni Lakiwe Mkhize. Unless ngekuba Njabulo loko ba fonela mebo ba tirhise fonela Lakiwe. Me Lakiwe Mkhize a si tshama ni fonela na naye. Leswi swi tivaka hi lowu vona ntsena.
My Lord, I have never phoned Lakiwe Mkhize. My Lord, unless if when Lakiwe Mkhize was with Njabulo Gunene, they would use Lakiwe's phone to contact me. Maybe that's how these records came to be, but I never used my phone to contact Lakiwe Mkhize. My Lord.
Just before he does that, please, Mr. Ndlovu, again, do not give us your opinion. We need the facts. The question is, how many times did you call, get, in contact with Lakiwe Mkhize? In other words, Lakiwe Mkhize's number is common cause. It's what number? Yes, court number of
072783. It's page 10, my Lord.
Page 10.
The second column, page 10 of 38.
Just a minute. Page 10.
We go to see.
Look at page 6. Under 21.
Yes, there is the number 6.
Yes, let's use that. They ask you how many times did you contact Lakiwe or Lakiwe Mkhize contact you? let's not speculate as to what could have happened.
Like when kids are unphone. I'm just to show info in the gang. And so look and phone la logo shamla phone ba go voice ya yena bla na ya asibangela na lokho kids phone.
My Lord, I do not remember speaking with Lakiwe Mkhize on the phone. I don't remember him making a phone call to me. I don't remember picking up a phone call only to find that it's Lakiwe Mkhize's voice on the other end. No, it never happened. I've never spoken to him on the phone. What I know, my Lord, is that I have met him, yes, but I've never spoken with him on the phone.
Yes.
Anything go to page 10, ma'am? The number of Mr. Lakiwe Mkhize being 2783 478 5644. You see that?
Number ya Lakiwe Mkhize la ya yeri 2783 478 kahlahla 083 478 5644. I see the telephone number, the cell phone number is written here.
Can you explain to the Honourable Court why then did the towers pick up that you made a call to Mr. Lakiwe Mkhize on the 3rd of February 2018 at 9:51 from the Festival Mall?
Hikwalaho ka yini tithawara letiya ti ve ti kombeta leswaku foni ya wena yi fonele ya Lakiwe Mkhize we u n'wi fonerile ti 3 ta February 2018 hi 9:51 ka tower liya va vulavulaka yona va nge i Festival Mall tower.
Festival Mall le Kempton Park ne anti ti fonele Lakiwe loko ni tsundzuka kahle hi date leyi nga ku a nga ha ku discharge wa RV hi siku leri kombisile a nga ni fonela a vile Festival Mall i tata a ta ni vona ni ku se ni discharge wile xibedhlele ni tsundzuka xivurile la court i nkarhi lowu ni nga receive call a na ha yi tsundzuki kahle nambara ya kona mara a nga ni foneli hi foni ya yena so swi ri hi loko mi ta fona ndzhaku ni n'wi byela ku hi ta hlangana kwini hi ku la Festival Mall ku na taxi rank la ku khandziyeriwa.
My Lord, what comes to my mind, what I seem to recall now, is that this Festival Mall tower, this Festival Mall is in Kempton Park. So I remember that I was discharged from the hospital and SABC phoned me to say that she was coming over to the hospital to see me there. But I told her that, look, no, I've been discharged from the hospital, and she said that she would then meet me in Kempton Park. She used a phone that wasn't hers, was not hers, to phone me. I don't remember the number, but then I called her back to tell her exactly where she was to meet me in Kempton Park.
So let me understand. You received a call from Kadisi, and you returned that call. And when you return that call, you call this number, 278347855644. In other words, you received a call from the VC, we wanted to come and visit you. Then you called her back, but you phoned that number.
Nikutwa kahle Mandlovu ku sikulera loko u vulavula na cebisile ukufonele iyo number liya ya 083 478 5644 ivi loko akuta ku kuvoneni mi vulavula leswi mi nga vulavula swona kambe loko se we u mfonela umbyela ku mi ta hlangana kwihi u tlhe u fonela number ya liya nga ku fonela hi yona ku nga number leyiwani hi leswi ni ku twisaka swona. Indeed so, my Lord, that's exactly that. When I returned, in fact, I called her back. When I called her back, I used the very same number that she used to get hold of me. That's what I'm trying to say, my lord. Yes.
So where did you get this number? From your handset, I guess.
Phone li one sula ku ikumi a phone ni ya wena ne. Yes. Yes, I did, my lord, from my handset, and then I called the number back.
If I'm just trying to understand, this would be the same modus operandi as was used by Sergeant Machikiri, who looked at the cell number from the pocket of Winnie Mashab, and he said the number that he called was yours. So you used more or less the same modus operation. Am I correct?
Ni vulavula swona na Mandlovu nuku matirhele ya swona hi nga ya fananisa na leswi Sergeant Machikiri a nga endlisa swona loko a kuma foni exikhwameni xa Mashaba liya Mayeni Mashaba ivi a languta foni a kuma leswaku ku na nambara leyi nga tirha yo hetelela i va fonela yona se a kuma ku yi hlamuriwa hi munhu wa xisati se leswi na wena u nga endlisa swona ka leswi ku u kota ku va u vulavula na Pepsile na hi swona
a ni tokisile infoneri so me loko ni fonela back ngale ni fonela ka yena yi nga ngheni so ni fonela ka le a nga ni fonela hi yona ni nga tivi ku i public phone kumbe i se yi nghena a yi hlamula.
What happened here, my lord, in this instance is that Pepsile called me, and when I needed to speak to her, to phone her, I used her phone number, but I couldn't get through. So I used the number which she used in the first place when she got hold of me, to get hold of her.
I'm just trying to understand, but if the witness is unable to assist me, I'll leave it there. Please proceed.
Ma'am, can you then turn to the next page, and that then sets out your communication with Mr. Lakiwe Mkhize with a different number. So Mr. Lakiwe Mkhize had a different number being 072 536 0590. And amazingly, Ms. Ndlovu, you had communication with Mr. Lakiwe Mkhize on that number as well.
Barke Lakiwe Mkhize arna yin'wanyana number leyi a yi tirhisa leyi u nga vulavula na yena hi yona ku tirhisa yona hi leyi 072 536 0590. Which page is that? I can't see that number.
11.
Page 11, Mandlovu.
Once again, if we go to the first column, we will find your number being 082 059 2648. Then the call type, second column. The date, third column. Call duration, fourth column. Other party, fifth column. The other party number being 27725 360 590. Do you see that, ma'am?
Mandlovu loko languta ko kwala ka page 11 u ta swivona ku number ya wena yo yi nga tsariwa la ka column yo kusungula 082 059 2648 ivi ku landzela call type leswo call ayo nghena kumbe ayo huma na ivi ku va date na nkarhi lowu call yi nga teka wona na ku ri loyi un'wanyana foneriwa i mani ta yi vona ke nambara kwalaha ku yi ri number yi ri 072 536 0590.
You see that, ma'am?
Was one caller? I do.
So on the 22nd of January 2018, according to the phone data, you called Mr. Lakiwe Mkhize, and it was a 30-second conversation.
Barke itibulera rati 22 ta January 2018 ufonela Lakiwe Mkhize swa ti komba la ku eka ku fona ka wena vahlayerini la ku komba ku ri ra vungane ra 32 u kha u vulavula na yena hi siku leriya Yakhiwe Mkhize.
You see that man?
Was one? I see that. I do see that. I accept that there are calls between my number and that number, my lord. But I don't remember. I never spoke with Yakhiwe Mkhize on the phone. I don't know as to who it was that I was speaking to on the phone in these instances. I see the phone calls there, but there was nothing between myself and Yakhiwe Mkhize to discuss, so I had no reason to speak to him on the phone.
Then as well, ma'am, on the 28th of January 2018, there was 5 calls between yourself and Mr. Yakhiwe Mkhize on this number. All 4 of those phone calls were outgoing calls, meaning you made those calls to Mr. Yakhiwe Mkhize.
Asweleli kwalani Mandlovu vari hi 28 January 2018 kuna calls to ringana 5 leti nga huma eka ya wena phone hi ku ya hi leswi nga hlamuseriwa vumbhoni lebyi vari i outgoing calls leswi vula ku wena a wu tirhisa ya wena phone ku va u fonela Yakhiwe Mkhize ka 5 siku lera ra ti 28 January 2018 wasibona kwalani Mandlovu. I do see the calls, Mala.
The phone calls that phone you put around what I'm calling. And the number I choose, remember the number like you. You have the 590 and the phone number I choose. They can wait there and see. And Marley and the number I choose.
I do see the phone calls as recorded here, my lord, but then as far as this number that ends with 0590. As far as I knew, this number belonged to SABC. I didn't know the other MTN number, the 083 number, but this Vodacom one, as far as I knew, my lord, it was SABC's number.
Ma'am, and yet the evidence was placed before the court and it was never challenged that number is not Mr. Yakhiwe Mkhize's number, but in fact Sebesile Kunene's number.
Kuna vumbhoni lebyi nga vekiwa byi kanetiwangi ku kahle number yaleyo i ya Sebesile Kunene a ya Vincent i ya Sebesile.
Tani loko ni hlawula sweswi ni ku loko se ni languta phone number leyi se ni tsundzuka kahle i Sebesile lo amba ni fonela yo hi nkarhi lowa court a ni vutisiwa ku phone number I like when kids the phone number.
My lord, just as I was explaining now that when I took the time to look at this cell phone number, I do recall now, I do have the recollection now, my lord, that this is SABC's number, the one that ends with the 0590. But then when it was when I was questioned about it, it was put to me that this is Yakhiwe Mkhize's number. I said I don't know his number.
Just
in response to that.
Then, when the warrant officer was testifying, he explained whose cell number was which cell number. And it was accepted, it was never challenged, as she put it to you, that page 6 of the 38 reflected the number of cell numbers that belong to you, 1, 2, 3, 4, and one that belonged to Njabulu Mkhize, and 1, 2, 3, 4 that belongs to Yakhiwe Mkhize. That was never in dispute. It was actually accepted that this is a reflection. What I'm saying is it was never put to anyone that this number belongs to SABC. What's the comment?
Ingisela la Ndlovu u ta tsundzuka ke ku karhi loko u vulavula warrant officer loko a nyika vumbhoni u ya hlamusela loko u languta laha ka page 6 of 38 laha ku nga na tinambara to hlaya ta wena na tinambara to hlaya ta Lakhiwe Mkhize. Loko u languta loko ku ya hi ku hlayela ta wena i 1 2 3 4 ta Lakhiwe Mkhize na tona i 1 2 3 4. Se leswi va swi vulaka laha Ndlovu i ku nkarhi lowa loko warrant officer a hlamusela vumbhoni bya yena a nga zanga byeriwa ku nambara yin'wanyani ka tetiya kumbe leti wena u nge i ya Lakhiwe Mkhize i nambara ya Cebisile. Nkarhi lowu a hlamuselaka vumbhoni bya yena warrant officer.
That's what the state is saying.
Leswi mchuchisi muyimeri wa mfumo a vulaka swona ku loko warrant officer va testify va nyika vumbhoni va hlamuserile ku tifoni number leti nga laha ta va mani swi amukeriwile ku hi ta va mani handle ka ku kaneta ku hayi leyi hi ku tiva ka Ndlovu ya Cebisile a nga zanga byeriwa sweswo warrant officer luya.
Loko ntsundzuka kahle loko warrant officer a ra hlamusela o vula ku phone number leyi ya mina leyi ya Lakhiwe ene loko ntsundzuka kahle advocate so a nga zanga a constitution iyo hi ku leswaku power a hi swi ali na ti-question ni nga ka ni nga yi tivi phone number hikuva ya Njavula a nga yi tivi nhloko mara munhu loyi a tshamaka a fanele na yena i Cebisile.
Yeah. My Lord, if my memory helps me well here with this, I remember when the warrant officer was testifying. In fact, he was just pointing out as to whose number is this, and he would point at another number and say whose number is that. But Advocate Soko did not have questions for him. He said he doesn't have questions. He did not cross-examine him. He's saying that because we accepted the records of the cell phone towers, so there was no need for him to cross-examine him. My Lord, but I may not have remembered at that stage as to the phone numbers, but I know that I communicated mostly with Cebisile. I never spoke with Lakhiwe Mkhize.
Unfortunately, ma'am, Lakhiwe Mkhize was asked in re-examination what was his cell phone number, and that was the cell phone number provided. 072 536 0590.
Kambe Lakhiwe Mkhize yena loko vutiswa xivutiso na loko a karhi a kanetiwa hi vumbhoni lebyi a nga byi nyika u vutisiwile nambara ya yena ya phone ku yi ri yihi a hlamusela ku ri 072 536 0590. Leswi a nga vula swo loko a vutisiwa ku yi ri yihi nambara ya wena Lakhiwe Mkhize.
Very phone number ya ni tiba san phone na yena ene nkarhi wolowo loko nga ha testify i vutisiwile ya ti phone number mara me amana xana ka hlamula xana phone number yena ku phone number yena.
My Lord, there was nothing for me to put or say to Lakhiwe Mkhize at that time when he was testifying, because I did not have his cell phone number. I didn't know his cell phone number, and I also didn't have the cell phone record. Yes, when he testified, it was put to him, and that is the number that he said it's his. I never disputed that. I never accepted that it's his number because I didn't know what cell phone number he was using.
But the problem that I'm having is by your mere glancing at the number today, you identified this number as belonging to Cebisile. Mr. Cebisile Kunene.
Kambe leswi ni hlamarisaka Ndlovu ku yi langutanyana cell phone number leyi namuntlha u kota ku swi tsundzuka ku nambara leyiwani ya Cebisile kunene.
Ku na nkarhi wun'wana loko hi la khodi xivutiso xi vekiwa ka wena nkarhi wolowo I mean, issue is more like so that's what confused. And I'm like, so only way, so finally, say, me look at the chapo, ya mo number ali. Ile ama phone le. So now I'm saying now even you gonna la saying that kalango phone. But so now ina ba le music sile ka ra ta. An phone la yo na me an phone la ka yo. And I'm gonna show all over the matter sa boda ko na yo le ya boda ko. I'm showing all over the phone la ka yo. An phone ID.
But you see, sometimes when one is faced with questions in court, sometimes one gets to be confused by the questions. And at a later stage, when in hindsight, look at the question, you are able to realize what the real situation is. For instance, when I'm in prison, I would be able to remember that this number that I was being asked about, or the number that was testified to, it's the number that belongs to BBC. And coupled with the fact that as I am testifying now here today, I am able to see the number in full here. I am able to remember with ease that it is BBC's number. My Lord, this is the number that I used to use calling BBC. It's a Vodacom number. It made it easy for me to use this number to reach her, because I was also using Vodacom service provider.
Ma'am, Mr. Lakiwe Mkize is going to testify, and he said this is the number that he used.
Kambe Lakiwe Mkize yena utile la atanyika vumboni Mandlovu. Futhi ute nambara le hiyona le ayitirhisa, hiyo nambara ya yena.
Itile testify. An alangi number yana ani pfumelana ndibe number ya ani tivi and nsi pfumelana na yena.
My Lord, yes, he did come to testify. I did not dispute anything about his number or agree with him on his number, which number he was using, because I don't know Mr. Lakiwe Mkize's number.
And when Warrant Officer Venter came to explain page 6 of his report and explained the numbers attached to Mr. Lakiwe Mkize, why was that not disputed?
See, utile na Warrant Officer Venter Mandlovu afika hlamsela ku hiti tinambara ta Lakiwe Mkize eka tinambara leti a ti hlamsela tani leswi swi nga xaxametiwa laha ka page 6 of 38 leswi a nga swi vekisa swona yena loko a tsala hansi tinambara letiya. Se xivutiso Mandlovu i ku hikwalaho ka yini a nga byeriwangi ku hi ku tiva ka wena Mandlovu nambara liya wena a wu yi tirhisa a wu fonela BBC la ka yona u nga foneli Lakiwe Mkize hi ku Warrant Officer Venter u vurile ku tinambara ta Lakiwe Mkize leti a swi kanetiwangi sweswo.
Ani loko ni hi nkarhi luwa a ni nga yi tsundzuki number leyi mara swi se ni vona ku se yi tele se na tsundzuka number leyi na yi tiva ene number leyi se a rhandza ku ni fonela hi yona.
My Lord, just as I responded to this question by saying that I didn't know this number, but now that I see the number in full, now it comes to my mind that this is the number that BBC used to reach me in most cases, in most instances.
You see, to assist the witness, that question of this number came during the re-examination. And you will recall that during the re-examination, Lakiwe Mkize testified that he was in Tulamahash. And they said, no, you were never in Tulamahash. He said, because I come from KZN, how would I have known about that? That's when this number was given. That you said that number is mine. Does that help you?
Look,
still remember when it was put to him that her mother stays in Bushbuckridge, not Tulamahash. He responded the same. How do I know Tulamahash? Because I come from KZN. And that's when the court wanted him to answer the question. And he then said, my court on this number 0725360 590 is when he said there was an alleged plan, as he testified to, from you to kill the sister, the mother, and the child. And it's when he said, you gave him some money, he went to look at the victims, he came to report, and he took the taxi, you left and he took a taxi to Bushbuck Greece, and it's where he blew part of the money that you gave to her. Does that help you?
Ate vambi swa kupfuna ku kota ku tsundzuka kahle Mandlovu ku mhaka ya phone number leyiwani yi vulavuriwe nkarhi lowu Lucky Mkhize a karhi a vutisiwa swivutiso futhi eka nkarhi wa kona a karhi a hlamula swivutiso a hlamula a nga kongomi ku hlamula xivutiso loko a vutisiwa ku wa swi tiva ku mana wakwe a tshama a Bushbuck Ridge na a ku yena u ta swi tivisa kwini sweswo hi ku yena u huma KZN se ivi loko a byeriwa leswaku a hlamuli kahle xivutiso so a vula ku u n'wi fonerile a tirhisa nambara ya liya 0725360590 hi laha ku nga humelela plan liya a yi ri koho ya ku ya dlaya sesi wakwe mhani wakwe na xihlangi se hambi sweswo a hi tivi ku swa ku pfuna Mandlovu ku kota ku tsundzuka ku timhaka ta nambara letiwani ta nambara leyiwani ku i ya Lucky Mkhize tiva ku vulavuriwe hi to rini na yena Lucky Mkhize a vula ku i tinambara ta yena sweswo swa ku pfuna na ku va u kota ku ehleketa kumbe ku tsundzuka
na tsundzuka sweswo swa na swi vulavula kona mara nambara mehe nkarhi la nga yi tirhiwe mandira ku info number ya 26 ene me loko warrant office a karhi a vulavula nte an phone number tele mara ku iya mani ni tiva leswi swi va ku va sandala na Lucky Mkhize
Malot
ka nambara yo phone le mara wa no na Lucky Mkhize
Malot I remember what Lucky Mkhize said in his evidence here when what he testified to. I remember that. And even when the warrant officer was testifying, I never denied anything or disputed anything about the numbers which he said belonged to whoever. But at that time, I did not know Lucky Mkhize's number. I didn't know which number he was using, and I'm saying so because I never spoke to him on the phone. I don't remember talking to him on the phone, this Lucky Mkhize.
I've put it to you, ma'am, that on the 29th of January 2018, you made 2 calls to Mr. Lucky Mkhize on this said number being 072-536-0590.
It is 23rd January 2018. 29th, sorry. It is 29th January 2018, but ufonele kanar ufonela number ya liya ufonela Lucky Mkhize.
Hey man, that's the one fonela like you. Mara antsuzulu babena ina phone ku fonela number yi hlamuriwa mona ke be like you. And January a go ikhale ana swi swa ku nje call ufonela mani a phone ya ya ko ba ku fonela phone ba yongala mara ku fonela mana na.
My Lord, I am not denying that my phone was used to call that number, but all I'm denying is that I spoke to Lakiwe, that I was phoning Lakiwe, because I've never spoken to him on the phone. And that day in January 2018, it's some time ago. I may not recall the details as to what I did, who I called on that day. And as far as I knew, when I called that number, I was phoning someone else, not Lakiwe. I never spoke to Lakiwe on that number.
But then on the 30th, ma'am, 10 phone calls were made from your handset to the number of Mr. Lucky Mkhize.
Kambe iti 30th, ufone ka 10. Phone ya wena, kumbe eka phone ya wena ku endliwe ti phone call ta 10. Leti nga fonela nambara ya Lucky Mkhize.
Hey, understand man, vele ikhale shisha 2018.
I don't know.
Mbela ngaba nifonile mara kumfonela Lakiwe ngaba nifonela nambara le mara kumfonela nampungu bani Lakiwe
as far as I can say, my Lord, is that I was phoning someone else not Lakiwe Mkhize. This happened a long time ago. I don't know. I don't remember calling Lakiwe Mkhize. I never spoke to him on the phone.
On the 2nd of February 2018, ma'am, I put it to you that you made 4 outgoing calls to the number of Mr. Lakiwe Mkhize being 072-536-0590.
It is 2, the 2nd of February 2018. Ufonela kambe ufonela phone liya Lakiwe Mkhize, ifoni ya wena yona linge 072-536-0590. Just as I explained, my lord, I'm not denying that calls were made from my phone to that phone number, but as far as I know, I was not calling Lakiwe Mkhize.
On the 3rd of February 2018, 11 calls were made between these two numbers. Your handset made 6 phone calls, and Mr. Lakiwe phoned your number 5 times.
But okay, Security 3 February 2018, Nichinjane kufonela shingaba ka 11 weka 6 awufonela yena ka 5 kuriyela Lakiwe Mkhize afonela wena. Isikulera rati 3 February 2018.
Loko ntsundzuka kahle siku leri 3 loko njhani loko a ni huma xibedhlele a ndzi va mfumo leyi ya tirhisile swi me a mfonela na nga tirhisile leyi a ri tirhiseni ka fona.
If I remember correctly, just like I said earlier, that on this day, the 3rd of February, that's the day on which I was being discharged from the hospital. So when I phoned this number, I was talking to SABC, as far as I can remember, as far as I know, not talking to Lakiwe Mkhize, my lord.
Do you understand? You know, in relation to the evidence of Lakiwe Mkhize, he said, you know, he phoned you or you phoned him. The idea being that he wanted to come and visit him. And he said then you advised him that he mustn't come because you have been discharged. And then you make certain arrangements to go to Johannesburg. I'm just putting this in context so that it can help you to understand what this suggestion is, so that you can give an appropriate answer. Am I correct, Mr. Sophie? That's when he said, you know, don't come to visit me. I basically thought, she told him not to visit because, you know, she's been discharged. And also that the victim has now shifted from Polo to Bushbuck Beach. That's when they said we'll make arrangements to go there.
Indeed, my lord.
Is that how?
Yes, my lord, the report is correct.
Yeah, so when we put this, let's put so that we can understand the, you know, the impact. Because if you just pick up the number, it may not necessarily.
I just actually want to focus on the number of times the calls were communicated between.
Okay, I hear you.
I just want to focus on that.
Okay.
And that's basically it. I'm almost done.
Sorry?
I'm almost done.
Okay. Do you think it's now 21?
21, yeah.
Because we don't want to take a break.
Yes. Now then I'm going to finish.
Good, thank you.
But ma'am, if one goes to that page as well as page 12, there has been numerous phone calls between your handset and that of Lakiwe Mkhize.
Loko lang taka page yaliya Ndlovu, utlho lang ta na page 12. Ta swivona ku titele ti calls leta ti humelela exikarhi ka wena na Lakiwe Mkhize.
Calls marame anga vulavula na Lakiwe me anga tsha phone leyi ya Lakiwe leswi nga kusho.
Yeah, but what I'm disputing is that I did not know that this is Lakiwe's phone number. I do see the record as it's showing the phone calls there, but I didn't know that this was his phone number.
May I ask you, ma'am, when the police arrived there, when you were seated in the taxi at Bushbuck Ridge, on the 7th of March 2018. Do you recall?
Sukuleria iti 7th March 2018 loko maphorisa ya ta kuma utshame ka taxi a Bushbuck Ridge a taxi rank wa ri tsundzuka ne? Yes, I recall.
The police identified themselves to you, correct?
Maphorisa va vuye va ti tivisa ku hi vo va mani ka wena ne?
Va ti tivisanga va ti tivisa ndzhaka loku lava ti taxi va ku why mi fika mi teka munhu ndlela leyo ndzeni ka taxi mi kombela ku maphorisa
No. They only did that. That is introduce themselves when people who works there at the taxi rank, the taxi officials, so to speak, interfered, seeing the manner in which I was being handled by the police, taking me out of the taxi. It's only then that they said we are police officers. That is, introduce themselves.
And at that stage, did you not think it to alert those police officers that in fact Mr. Njabulo Kunene wanted to rob the traditional healer? He's the one that should be arrested, not you.
Hi nkarhi walowo a swi hleketanga ku tivisa maphorisa laya ku Njabulo Kunene yena loyi a lava ku khoma n'anga liya nkunzi na ku ri ku fane ku khomiwa yena hayi wena a wu swi hleketanga ku hi nkarhi walowo ku va byela sweswo maphorisa na?
Hi nkarhi wolowo phela loko mukhomiwa la a va nga lavi nhlamuselo ya mina a va nga lavi nchumu va lo xika va famba na mina a va zanga va ni vutisa ku endleka yini ku va lava ku tatiwa statement xa mina.
You see, at that time when I was apprehended by the police, they did not want any explanation from me. Not at that point. They just instructed me to alight from the taxi, get out of the taxi, and I go with them. They did not wait to hear any explanation from me.
So did you attempt to explain to them that in fact you are innocent of all that you're charged with? The people that are blaming you wanted to commit offences.
U ringetile na Mandlovu, u ringetile ku u ringeta ku va hlamusela ku kahle vanhu lava va ku lumbetaku hi vo va nga a va lava ku endla vugevenga kumbe va la ku endla milandzu yaleyo. A wu va byelangi na ku wena u hava nandzu, wena u ndlangi nchumu hi lava va nga na xidyoho hikwalaho ka yini u nga va byelangi sweswo?
Loko va heta ku chikisa taxini te loko fika ndzeni ka polo Sergeant Zulu a ni byela swa ku na right ya ku remain silence, a ni byeletela swilo swa ti-rights hikuva swa nga ni byela swoho hi nomu a ku futhi there's no need ya ku ni ya mahlweni vuphorisa wa swi tiva ku endleka yini. Njabulo hi nkarhi lowu a ri kwala kusuhani ni n'wi tshini ku Njabulo ku endleka yini na ivile ni va byela me ni tiva ku la a hi tekangeni ivile a ni tsela i canal xilenge loko me ni tiva ku ti va heleketangangeni na hlamana hinkwaswo leswi nga le ku humeleleni why se me ni fanele ni khomiwa munhu ku heleketa vanhu vangeni wa khomiwa na
kwalani Mandlovu. My Lord, after I was taken out of the taxi, I was taken to a police motor vehicle. They make thereof it's a Polo. Inside that car, Sergeant Zulu then started explaining my rights to me. You know, those rights where one is told of having a right to remain silent and the like. He even stopped at some point and said, "There's no need for me to continue and complete this explanation to you about your rights because you are a police officer, you know such rights." So Njabulo was around at that time. He was just in the vicinity there. So I asked him, "What is happening, Njabulo?" I even explained it to this Colonel Shilenge there that I know nothing, I'm innocent, and as far as I know, I had accompanied these people over here to Bushbuck Ridge for them to see a traditional healer. I didn't know if that was a crime. I should be arrested for that, for accompanying people to see a traditional healer in Bushbuck Ridge.
According to you, Mr. Njabulo Kunene wanted to rob the traditional healer. Is that not correct?
Kambe ikuya wena Mandlovu luya ala ku roba nganga luya aso njabula kunene.
Loko hi suka a ni tiva ku va heleketiwa n'angeni sweswo swa ku hleketa ku roba n'anga nto loko se hi fika hi civil garage hi xikili hi laha nga vulavula kona hi ri handle ka movha ni ri na hi ri two a ku ye loko n'anga leyi va yisaka o vona ku yi na mali hi ta yi roba a hi ri handle emovheni.
Okay, now shit. My Lord, when we left at first or initially, all I knew is that I was taking them to Bushbuck Ridge to see a traditional healer. But when we were in Bushbuck Ridge at the garage in Hazy View, place called the Hazy View, it was after we alighted from the vehicle. It was just the two of us, that is myself and Jabulo Gunene, where he mentioned this to me, that if he notices or sees that the traditional healer that we are going to make use of to see is somebody who is wealthy, who has money, he's going to rob the traditional healer. That's what he explained to me at that stage when we were already in Bushbuck Ridge. But when we left for Bushbuck Ridge initially, all I knew is that they were going to see a traditional healer.
Loko ni fika movheni ni vula ku hi ya ku dlayeni ka mavona mina munhu loyi a ta kota ku heleketa sweswi se u cinca xitori la ndleleni u byela leswaku se vula ka robona a na ha koti ku twisisa ku endleka yini.
And just to add on that, my Lord, that's when Njabulo and I started not getting along because on our way he made me say that we were going to Bushbuck Ridge to kill my sister and her children and my mother. And now, when we get to Bushbuck Ridge, he was telling me that he was intending to rob if he sees that the traditional healer has money. So I was starting to question him as to what is it exactly that is happening. So at that point, Njabule and I were no longer seeing eye to eye.
But as a police officer, why didn't you open a case?
Kambe tani phorisa kwala ka yini unga ngikhomisangi. Open a case for what?
A person informing you that he's going to rob the traditional healer.
Munhu loyi a ku byelaka ku uya ku khomeni nganga nkunzi.
A hi ri civil garage. A ha ri ndleleni ya Bushbuck Ridge. Ni ya va komba ka ngeni. O vulavula. A hi swilo leswi a swi endla. Hi leswi nga endla ku kusukela kwalano mina vosi a hi nga twani. Hi leswi nga endla va nyika na mali.
We were still on our way to Bushbuck Ridge. We were at a place called Hazy View, and he just verbalized that. He was just mentioning that it's not something that he was acting upon at that stage. And that is why, from that point on, me and them were no longer seeing eye to eye, and I requested them to give me money in order for me to travel back, to go back.
I'll put it to you that you killed witness Madala Homu.
Urke Mandlovu, wena wakubyela ku wena ungadlaya witness Madala Homu. I'm shocked to hear that. It's my first time to hear that today. I don't know about that, my Lord.
Man, sorry. You know, you may not know about that, but what do you say? Did you kill or you didn't kill?
Yeah, ungaba ngasitivi Mandlovu. Uriyin mara. Ungudlayile kumba ungudlaya witness Madala Homu na. I did not kill him, my Lord.
I further put it to you, man, that you killed your own sister, Miss Audrey Nomia Ndlovu.
Urke naseswa wena ungudlayile Audrey Nomia Ndlovu. I did not kill my sister. I don't know what is being put to me. It's my first time to hear that today here in court.
I further put it to you, ma'am, that you defrauded Clientele Limited One Life Insurance and Old Mutual Insurance in respect of your deceased sister Audrey Nomia Ndlovu.
Barke uyivele kumbe kuteka la swi fanelangi na hi vuxisi va ka clientele u teke mali ka vona na va ka One Life Insurance na Old Mutual leswi humelele andzaka ku lova ka sesi wa wehe Audrey Nomia Ndlovu. I did not commit any fraud. I did not defraud them of any money. How would I defraud them money? Because even for the premiums, they were deducting from her account. I did not commit any fraud, my lord.
So that put it to you, ma'am, that you think that, or that you tampered with evidence on the scene where Audrey Nomia Ndlovu's body was discovered on the 26th of June 2013.
Se barke la nga kumeka ntsumbu wa seswa we Audrey Nomia Ndlovu u fike la u kanganyisa kumbe kusula ku tumbeta hi xikongomelo xo tumbeta vumbhoni hi siku lera ra ti 26 ta June 2013.
Antsumeli sweleswo tani loko ngurile nuku anlo shela ku swilo leswi a swi ri mihleketweni wa mina a hlanganile a titekela tikomisi ni huma ene tikomisi leti a ti ri ndzeni ka yindlu a hi tona leti hi nga no hi ti ya ku loko mati ya hina a hi tshame handle sweswo hinkwaswo na swi kaneta mara ku va swi vula swi vula.
I dispute all that, my lord. Council can put it all she wants, but I dispute all of it. I don't agree to that. I took the cups which were inside. It was not an intention to tamper with evidence. It wasn't tampering with evidence because even the cups that we use to drink tea with were not inside the room. They were outside. So I don't agree with that, my lord. I'm disputing it.
Ma'am, I put it to you that you killed Yangwani Maurice Mabasa on the 14th of October 2015.
Urke utlaye Ndlovu utlaye 2015 utlaye Yingwani Maurice Mabasa it 14th October 2015 utlaye Yingwani Maurice Mabasa.
Nga vula leswi lava ku vula swona mara sweswo a ni swi tivi nkarhi wa ku hetelela ku ndzi na Maurice ku n'wi vona a ku ri na mpundzu hi ti-13 loko a famba ya ntirhweni until loko ni ta receive call ya ku ta hi le ku constable Bugwari a ni vutisa ku ni le ku ni byaka ni ya Olifantsburg hi laha ni nga tiva ku Maurice ku lovile mara loko ku ri ku ri loyi vona nga ku meme ni nga swi endla a ni swi tivi proof ya ku ni swi endlile yi kwini hlamarisa mara loko va swi vula a va swi vula.
Yeah, my lord.
Can you just explain that last portion? That which they want to do, let them do it. Did I understand it correctly?
No.
You should pull it. I should pull it.
Can you just explain that to me?
She's saying that if the court is saying that she committed the crime, the offense, so be it. That's what she's saying, my lord.
Explain that.
So now may we take the time to interpret the whole statement that she made.
No, I just wanted that to get it because I needed to have it, clearly written down.
As the court pleases. My lord, I did not kill Yingwani Maurice Mabasa. The last time I saw him, it was the morning of the 13th of October 2015 when he left for work. I only learned of his death on the 13th when I was on my way to Olifantsfontein police station when I received a call from Sergeant Mugwari. But then if counsel puts it to me that I did that, she can do that all she wants, but I'm disputing that I did not kill Yingwani Maurice Mabasa. There is no even proof of that here in court. There's no proof. There's no evidence to prove that I did so. I'm disputing that.
I put it to you, ma'am, that you then also defrauded Ashupol and Mr. Mashaba in regards of the policy of Mr. Yangwani Maurice Mabasa.
Say the policy Yangwani Maurice Mabasa kumbe I policy ya yena. Ubuye utekana mali singafanelangi ibushisi eka Ashupol leswi endle ku xisa Mr. Mashaba.
No xi senjani Mr. Mashaba hi ku police act debit ka account ya Morris. Morris ke munhu loyi a ye xikolweni. Loko a transaction yi karhi huma ka account ya a ta swi vona ku na mali leyi humaka. So
I did not defraud Ashupol, my lord. The money that was paying for these policies or this policy was deducted from his account. Morris was a learned somebody, an educated person. He would knew that something is amiss if monies were just going off his account without his knowledge. So I did not defraud anyone. Payments for these policies came from his own account.
But if you meant that you also then killed Zanele Mota.
Barke utlaina Zanele Mota, Ndlovu.
No dlaya njani Zanele? Hikuna loko a ta vaviseka ku sungula a ya xibedhlele a ku foneriwa mina a ni nga ri kona ku foneriwe direct mina loko kuma mahungu ku ile xibedhlele. Nantswa wa mina ku va ni teke Zanele famba na endlwini ene rizina ku ni teke famba na endlwini hi ku a sukele ka mina. A kanga Zanele mara loko khodi yo xi vonisa sweswo hi leswi swi vonisaka xiswona a ku na lexi ni nga ta xi endla.
My lord, how would one say that I killed Zanele? I didn't. How would I do that? Even in the first instance when Zanele got injured, I was not the person who was contacted. It was director. I was not present there. My crime was to take Zanele home. Zanele, I took her home because when she got injured, she had come from my home. She left from my home. So, but if the court deems it in that way, that I killed Zanele, let it be so. There's nothing that I can do about that. But I'm saying that I did not kill Zanele Mota.
You don't have any obligation on your part to prove that you are innocent.
Imani ukufuna isungwane Mandlovu. Wena asile makatleni ya wena ungazuthi bangela ku tikeriwa na hiswona. Awuna ntirho wa ku va u humesa vumbhoni u kombeta ku wena u hava nandzu.
The state must prove all the allegations against you beyond reasonable doubt.
Muyimeri wa mfumo mchuchisi yena fanela ku komba vumbhoni la ku handle ka ku kanakana kumbe vumbhoni byo ka byi nga kanakanisi ku wena una nandzu ku leswi va nge u swi endlile.
I'm saying this because I'm perturbed. That's why I requested the translation of saying, if the court says so, let it be so. The court can only arrive at the conclusion after hearing all the evidence and the evaluation and apply the law to the facts. So please be rest assured that you are presumed to be innocent. So when they put that into you, is your answer is either you agree or you don't agree. Don't try to impute anything to the court.
Ingisela Mandlovu, wabona tani leswi ni nga vula ku ntirho wa mchuchisi ku kombisa hi vumbhoni nakona vumbhoni byo ka byi nga kanakanisi ku wena una nandzu.
Nomia Ndlovu testifying in court there, denying the evidence that the prosecutor is presenting to her, saying she never had a role in her sister's death, even when she was arrested, saying that her rights were not explained to her properly, as the police person who was arresting her said she was a policewoman, so she should know her rights. Basically a denial of all the charges that the prosecutor seems to be putting towards her. It's time for a short break. When we come back, my colleague Nompumelelo Siziba will have your business news and more. It's good afternoon from me.